Maybe you've heard these type of phrases in your life. Boy, if it wasn't for bad luck, you'd have no luck at all. Or maybe you've heard the phrase of, wow, man, just things never seem to go your way, right? You get these phrases and stuff that gets thrown your way, and it just feels like you're trying to be faithful, you're trying to get through. Um, what do you do when faith gets really hard? How do you get through it? That's what we're going to explore today on the show. Hi, welcome to the I'd Rather Be a Buffalo podcast. My name is Kevin Gregg. This show is designed to help you get through the storms of life with Christ's help, deepen your relationship with God, and seek God's calling and purpose for your life. I'm so glad that you joined us. What do you do when it gets hard? When you're trying to move on and it's just like you're trying to just like live a faithful life and it just feels like no matter what you do, um, you're hit on all sides, and yet God, I'm still gonna kind of keep going forward. But man, it can be so challenging, and it's really difficult when you're living the Christian life. When you are living the Christian life, and other people are looking at you, they're gonna come at you with a bevy of different ideas or tactics or what you need to do, and yeah, there's going to be people that are coming to you with great intentions. But it's also one thing to be hearing that from other people, even right now as you're listening to this, to just go, great, one more person that's telling me how to get through this, right? But I guess I wanted to share a couple of ideas and thoughts with you that may help as you're on this journey. And some of the things that I've learned to do along the ways, especially when things just aren't turning out the way that you hoped, right? Or that you planned. And I think that we run into this problem all the time. We get this idea of what we want to do in our life. And we kind of get an idea of what God, I think that I think that this is the way that I'm supposed to go. And we want to try and have everything planned out nice and neat. And it's a big issue that I run into on a regular basis, right? I got control issues that pop up for me all the time, and I just want you know, I want I want things to lay out exactly the way that I plan them to, and that's not what God wants for me, right? I am living the life that He created me for. I'm not creating the life that I want God to give me the thumbs up and just say, hey, that's great, man. That's amazing, Kevin. What a fantastic job that you worked out for yourself. So, yeah, there's lots of like ups and downs and stuff that come along the way. Now, what have I done in the past when I'm in these moments of just really feeling low and feeling like, what am I going to do? And by the way, I'm also going to give you a biblical example of what to focus on as you're doing this. So make sure that you stick all the way through the end of this video. And I'll unpack that a little bit too. Here's the biggest thing. I know that for myself, especially when I'm going through challenging seasons of my life, when things are not working out the way that I hope for, whether it is financially, relationally, career wise, maybe I'm having, health issues or other things like that, difficulty with relationships with other people, whether they're family, friends, work relationships, whatever. Um, One thing that I do is consistently look in the past for areas in my life where God has also been faithful as well. It may not be exactly the same scenario that I'm dealing with, but even if I go back far enough, I'm sure that I can find an example where I was dealing with a similar circumstance in my past and know, God, you know what? You've provided for me in the past, or you got me out of what I thought was going to be an impossible situation then. And, you know, I know that you'll remain faithful if I'm inviting you into the problem. I know that you can help me through this. So that's usually one really good technique and strategy that I use for myself is to go, hold on. Is this similar to anything that I've experienced in the past? It may not be exactly the same thing, but I'm sure that there's things that you can look at in your past, even if you're a kid or a teenager or stuff that you've gone through, where there's going to be some version of a parallel where you can go, you know what, if I got through that, then Lord, you're going to be faithful and help me get through this. And I've done this on a number of times with financial things, health things, relational things. It's been super good. You know, it's super challenging, right? Like faith is one of those things, especially as we're what God is asking us to grow in. There are these moments where He's not going to let you know what the results are, right? That is part of what this faith is. And so much of this is about like leaning leaning into him and trusting him even though you may not know where the journey is going to go or what the results are, you know. For me, and I truly do hope that this is something that happens more and more in our society. But you know, for me and for my wife Kate, when we got together and we were raising our family and starting to have, you know, our other sons, it was like, you know, here's the deal. We're stretching out. We may not have the finances or the stability or knowing what's going on, but we kind of have uh, we sort of have a plan of action, you know, which is like number one, loving each other, having God in the center of our marriage, but then also trusting, hey, we're going to show up and do this work and work together as a husband and wife. And, you know, let's start having kids. We'd already had, you know, Luke as one of our sons, but then moving forward with our other sons with Maddie and Duncan, and not knowing, you know, like kind of going, all right, we're going to go have a kid, and it's scary, right? You can, I'm sure that there are young people that are out there that just go, well, I don't want to get married or have children until I know X, Y, and Z. And may I also say this, like the state that we are currently in, you know, in our society, culturally, at least in the West in the 21st century, it's like we're kind of in unprecedented times, right? Where people that were, you know, living sort of a different life 30, 40, 50 years ago, whatever that model is, that model just doesn't exist. So I can understand that there's probably people that are out there like going, I can't even see myself getting married. I can't see myself, you know, being able to afford children, or somebody that has a child and it's like kind of going, how am I going to have a second or a third child? This is crazy, right? And it is scary. And I think that there are these moments where God is calling us to these moments of saying, I understand that it's scary and I know that you don't have it's not laid out perfectly for you, but I need you to trust me. I need you to trust and to step out, especially when we look in this word with in scenarios like that of being, you know, fruitful and multiplying and producing and being good stewards. Um, you know, he's asking us to say, I know that there's a lot of this that is, you know, that you don't have the definites on, but I need you to trust that it'll provide. And when I think about it, especially with the stuff that we've been able to do with our family, even with the challenges that we've had with my youngest son, Duncan, having autism and the challenges that all of that presented, and just kind of going, what is going to happen here? But trusting and having faith in God and inviting him into our families, we move forward. The incredible experiences and stuff that we've been able to experience that never would have happened unless it was saying it's saying yes to the unknown that God wants to offer you. So I think that part of that is also having a willingness to say, all right, God, this is so hard right now. I don't know what the outcome is, but I trust you. I trust you in this, even though I can't see it. So I'll say yes. I will say yes, even though I don't know what that is, right? So part of this is, as I said before, taking a look back in my past, seeing where it is where God is faithful, being in a moment of saying, all right, God, there's going to be elements where I'm not going to have an example for myself of how this worked. So I'm willing to say yes. Part of this is also a third part of this is also about looking and seeing examples with other people that you may have in your immediate life, right? That you may have seen how their life has changed by leaning into God and by having faith in like what seemed like impossible or difficult situations to come through. I'm sure that there's people that you can find in your circles where you went, oh, wow, that person went through an incredibly difficult situation. And yet they leaned in God through it and they came out the other side. I have that in a number of men's groups that I've seen over the years, or people that are in my immediate circles where I've seen them gone, you know, go through um, pain, trauma, struggles where I just go, how are they doing this? Even for this channel, Doug Riggle, who is with me on this, seeing him go through the challenges that he had in his life and also with his, his cancer journey and seeing him go on towards his reward with passing from, this life into the next. Just seeing that it is possible to get through this stuff with which just looks like insurmountable and something that could cause you to spin out. There are other examples of people that have gone before you that you can use for that. And ultimately, in the end, all of this ties in a little bit with number two that I was talking about. But he's asking you to really rely on him. And you may not have the support from those systems that you thought that you were always going to have, right? I'm going to give you a perfect example with this. This is the biblical example that I want to give you. In John chapter 9, there's a story of the man who is born blind, right? And he's Jesus and his disciples are walking along, and then all of a sudden they see this man that's blind. And, disciples say, well, what caused this? Was it the sins of his father or his mother? And Jesus just kind of goes, it's not about that at all, right? I'm having this, there's going to, something is happening here so that you can see what the works of God are, what the works are of the Son of Man. And then he puts some clay on the blind man's eyes, and then he sends him to the pool. I think it's Shiloam. I'm not saying it correctly, but it's translated, the pool is actually translated as sent, right? I'm going to tell you what the name of the pool is. The name of the pool that he sends him to is the following. Somebody's screaming it out on the thing, saying it's this. Siloam, right? Siloam, the pool of Siloam, which means sent. It's very interesting because once this blind man goes there and he washes off, he can see. And the big thing that happens is like everybody that's around him is like this miracle happens, right? And he's provided this opportunity where it's just like, hey, this whole thing happens. And immediately he's surrounded by uh, people in his life. And this can't be him or the Pharisees. They're just going like, how is this possible? Even to the point that they're sending for his parents to say like, is this your son? And they're like saying, well, yeah, it's him, but let him speak for himself. And so I guess what I wanted to say with this, why I'm making this example with the blind man that's here, is that when you're going through a difficult time, right? And God is asking you to have this faith. The biggest thing that he's asking you to do is to keep him as the focus for all of it, right? And what happens also in that story in John 9 is that ultimately Jesus is using this as an example of going, hey, what the world has normally defined as being, well, this is what you need to do, or this is how you do it. Jesus is saying the only way that you're getting through this and moving forward is that you're going to have to focus on me, even to the extent, and this is what happens to the blind man in chapter 9, even to the extent that you may lose what you thought was supposed to be the steady support system or the things you were supposed to lean on, right? It might be the people, it might be the friends that you've had in your friend circle for a long time, or people at work that you would always talk about issues you're having, or maybe family members, or maybe maybe people that you used to rely on in your church or your different groups where you thought that they had the answer. And maybe Jesus is moving you into a new thing where you need to be seeking, not only looking at him, but he'll start providing new and different support with you as you're going on your way. And it's going to look strange to the other people around you in your life, right? This is why I started this out with like saying, have people do people just look at you and say like, "Oh yeah, you're always the one with the bad luck," or "This always happens." And yet, God, Jesus may be using your the hardship and the struggles that you're going through, that he is going to use this as an opportunity as you are relying completely and utterly on him and having faith in him, that he's going to show you a way through this that other people aren't going to understand, right? But the biggest thing is about keeping him in your focus, even when it doesn't seem like it's working out. Or maybe an opportunity opens up your way, but he's not laying all of the pieces. It's not all coming together neatly. And there's probably going to be some work and some other things that you're going to have to do along the way that your normal people that are around you, you know, may not understand, may go, well, that's ridiculous. Or how are you doing? Or that's not how you're going to get through this. And God is always saying, there's a way through these impossible situations, but you have to keep focus on me and be listening and be willing to be exposed to the possibilities or the new people or new situations or new things that I'm going to put in your life that may be different from what you're used to, but I'm calling you through this. And I'm calling you through this for a reason because as you go through this hard and difficult season in your life, people are going to see that it happened because of your faith and reliance on me and your willingness to accept me. So that's what I would say is ultimately the biggest thing that I want you to walk away from this. In all of it, Jesus wants you to keep your eyes on him as you're going through the hard times with your faith. Even when you're going through the hard times and going, God, I don't even know if I can, I don't even know if I'm believing this, but help me in my unbelief, right? So there you go. Take a look at those examples of stuff that happened in your past where God has provided for you before, right? Keep him in the focus of everything that you're doing. Take a look and see if there's other people that are around you in your circles that have gotten through this before, and see how they've gone through their hardships as well. And know that, okay, if that can happen for them, I think that can happen for me. But most importantly, with all of this, keep Jesus as the focus for it. Those are some of the strategies that help me when I'm going through difficult times. I hope that you have found this helpful. If you have, please do me a favor. Please like, subscribe, share this video with a friend. I'm going to keep coming back here and making content and videos that help you get through storms of life with Christ's help you deepen your relationship with God, and help you listen and discern what God's calling and purpose is for your life. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.